Hi, I'm your host Jordan and welcome to another video. So today we'll be talking about Web 2 and Web 3. So Web 2 is the internet as we know it today, whereas Web 3 refers to the evolution and the next generation of the internet. In fact, Web 3 hasn't even completely arrived yet, and thus we don't even know exactly how it's gonna look like or how is it gonna be. However, we can paint a picture of Web 3 and the components it may possess, mostly thanks to a cryptocurrency project, many of which have embraced blockchain technology and are in the process of revolutionizing the financial world. And if the internet as a whole moves in the same direction, it will completely change the way we act and interact online. So the internet is currently being controlled by big tech companies like YouTube, Amazon, Netflix, and Meta. And they hold the information, the power, and the profits. So with Web 3, what it does is to steer us towards decentralization of power and profits, by instead letting it trickle down to the participants. And at present, the most promising way to achieve this is to use blockchain technology and a version of decentralized applications or DApps. So Web 1 is the first generation of the World Wide Web that existed between 1991 and 2004. It was known as the read-only web, because it only enabled the broadcast of information and it allowed users to search for it and read it. It mostly consists of static web pages and there were not many content creators around, but it was revolutionary for its time, the interaction, and the functionality, although it was limited. Web 2, which is the current version of the internet as we know it, is less static and more dynamic. Web 2 started to become popular in 2004 when the first Web 2 conference was held, and the system behind it aims to actively engage users, and the content itself is more user-generated. And the way we share and deliver information has been transformed with Web 2 components like blog, wikis, and social media platforms. So for example, Facebook or Twitter, users can not only read information, but they can also share thoughts and perspectives and opinions by liking, sharing, tagging, tweeting, etc. Undoubtedly, there is a dependency on these big tech firms to provide the infrastructure and the service that we need, and Web 3 hopes to remove that. In the future, there will be a more intelligent, autonomous, and open version of the internet known as Web 3. So computers will be able to interpret information in a way that is more similar to humans, and by using technologies like blockchain, AI, AR, and virtual reality, users will be given more personalized content and experiences. So let's talk about the potential benefits of Web 3. Having Web 3 will bring about more personalization, and the internet experience will become more customized to the user. Searches will be more efficient, marketing will be more relevant, and there will be better communication and increased information linking. With the use of blockchain technology, Web 3 aims to displace tech giants by handing back the complete ownership of data to the users. So currently, big tech companies like Facebook and Amazon, they will store your data and personal information, and most likely this is to improve their target marketing. However, many have raised privacy concerns over such one-sided data governance and see Web 3 as a potential solution to solve that. So blockchain technology is already being used to secure financial data in the crypto space, where transactions in a ledger are stored in a permanent and verifiable way, and the access to the data can be retained through encryption keys, which are independent from the service or the application that generated the original data. Web 3 gives the users ability to connect, transact, and share data privately and without relying on a third party. With Web 2, every time you interact with the internet, copies of your data get sent to the data servers and you no longer own it exclusively. So P2P can be explained as a group of computers that are linked together with equal permissions and responsibilities for processing data, and therefore there is no centralized server. For example, Poppy uses P2P technology for management of transactions, and the issuing of tokens is carried out by the network rather than the central authority or a bank. Users will be more involved in the future development of ecosystem, and as a result, the ecosystems will no longer have presidents or CEO, but instead a decentralized autonomous organization or a DAO, in which token owners will decide on essential changes and development as a collective. Another way in which Web 3 provides a more democratic system is that there is no restrictions on who can be part of the network. Neither users nor suppliers will require authorization from a governing body in order to participate. Services are available to everyone, and individuals can influence the network based on the value that they provide. So you could be an investor, a developer, or a marketer, and help the network succeed with your unique skills and output. You may even be rewarded by receiving a share of the total token supply. And in contrast to Web 2, you will have your very own digital identity and more control over your own privacy as well. For example, using an alias and a digital avatar will assure users that their internet usage is private and secure, which is something many of us doubt under the current Web 2 system. And with the development of Web 3, decentralized digital identity becomes a possibility. So DID is an address on the internet that people can own and control directly. It can be used to find what's known as a DID document, which in turn contains relevant information to enable use cases such as login details, digital encryption, and communication. Cryptographic proofs are also used to allow others to prove control of these identifiers. So in essence, users control everything and can decide when, with whom, and under what conditions their digital identity elements are reviewed. So DIDs can do for the internet what passports did for the government to securely identify and provide authentication. Only this time with more ownership and self-governance. And lastly, we have censorship resistance. Web 2.0 is currently stored in centralized servers, and these servers can be accessed, altered, or removed by any party that gains control of the server. This includes corporations, governments, or even hackers. So these parties can also deny access to services on their own authority, which may not be legitimate. But blockchain-related technology like IPFS and distributed hash tables can form a content system that is much more difficult to block and more difficult to take down. But with Web 3, it also comes with a set of challenges. The first challenge we have is the size and the cost. The internet is massive, and so is creating a system that can read, understand, and interpret that much data is challenging, and not to mention really expensive. On top of that, there is inconsistent data all over the internet, which can lead to logical contradictions and make data analysis really difficult. And as we know, the internet users are a mixed bag, and although some will embrace the forward thinking of Web 3 ideology, many are likely to be put off by its complexities. And as the internet progresses, less advanced devices may not be able to handle Web 3, which just adds to the adoption challenge. Lastly, bad actors could leverage some of Web 3's strength to get around restrictions on their activities. And while decentralization can rely on community power to intervene, this process will be very different from traditional governance and might take some getting used to. Without diving too deep into explaining the technological details, Web 3.0 is about utilizing blockchains and other decentralized protocols like external data oracles, storage, messaging, and digital identity. As you may already have known, the values in Web 3 are presented in cryptographically secured tokens. However, the technological advancement in decentralized systems doesn't mean that the internet will look different. An everyday internet user might not even see the difference, since Web 3's innovation is mostly noticeable in the backend of the internet. Therefore, you can expect to see decentralized versions of the same application that you are currently using without significant visual differences. As a reminder, Web 3 doesn't exist yet. There is no general agreement on it, but we can recognize that it's a combination of permissionless and transparent systems that can decentralize powers from central authorities and to solve problems for the internet. So that's all for today's video. If you haven't, do give this video a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.